Okay, hi guys. So for those who've already heard this presentation, hopefully it's just a refresher. For those of you who are new to the BC Hockey Strength and Conditioning program, hopefully this kind of gives you a little insight into what the program is, how to use it, and so it doesn't feel so daunting when we actually roll through this. Okay, so here we go. The first page of the handbook realistically is just kind of my expectations for the program, what the goal of the program is, how it really is a 52-week program. BC Hockey, along with myself, are very interested in producing athletes and allowing athletes to grow even past the point that they're part of the BC Hockey program. So I can't stress this enough that I am always a resource for every athlete that comes into the BC Hockey program. Please don't feel that when you age out of the program or that you maybe don't make the team from one cut to the next, that you no longer have access to me, because that's not true. I would always love to help you guys if I can. The most important piece on this page is really the YouTube channel, and that's where you'll find this video and many others. This is a resource I feel is very helpful for athletes, so that when you go onto the program and it says a particular exercise or a mobility execution, whatever it might be, that's where you'll be able to go and find those. So athletes can find this on their phone. They can look it up before they go to the gym. So that way you really know what you're doing before you show up there. I will say this, that I still advocate that you have a strength coach or a personal trainer that can help you with correcting form. But at least if you show them the video, they'll know what is expected of you. Okay, so the program is really broken up into a few different parts. The first part of the program is the calendar, and this is really the lifeblood of the whole program. This is where you're going to get to see what you're supposed to do on each particular day and really how it builds. And you'll be able to see how the program is to taper you into events, so to peak you for an event, as well as when you'd have times of a little bit higher volume or a little less volume. So you can really go over this page, but there isn't anything too crazy there. So this is just the explanation page. So if you forget after you're watching this video or you're into this a couple weeks and you can't remember exactly what something is, always refer back to this part of your booklet. So each month has its own page, much like a calendar. You'll be able to follow which week you're in, what day it is, so on and so forth. On your program, especially your strength program or your energy system program, it'll say week 2, session 1, let's say, for an ESD. So then you would go to week 2, session 1. That's what it says here. On your program, it'll also say week 2, ESD 1. That's how you know that they're going to match up. This side of the program over here is just telling you how many you're going to do of each thing. So STR is strength program. ESD is energy system development. If you see linear speed or lateral speed, that's really more of your plyo work. It really just breaks it down so you know what you're going to do each week. I think it's very important to know that you're going to look at this program and think, that's a lot of activity to be doing. Just know that some of these are only 20 minutes long. Some of them are only 15 minutes long. Some of them are an hour. So you really want to look at them in advance of your week. Plan out your week, figure out when you can go. That being said, on the program, everything is built out to be ideal. So that means that we don't have interference from one strength session to the next. So you're not feeling super sore. You're not able to execute a run. But if you do have an issue and let's say you can't work out on a Thursday, it's not a huge deal if you bump back your week. That's why you have a recovery day on Sunday, but there's nothing to say that you can't move that around to fit your schedule. The biggest thing here, guys and girls, is to make sure that you get in as much of this work as possible. Skipping days won't be to your advantage, and skipping weeks definitely won't. And like it says on the side, if you have problems with any of this or you don't know how you're going to structure any of your training, that's when you contact me. Stay in constant contact with me and I'll help you through this. So this is just the example. So if you're going May, June, really following through. When you see it says taper essentially what that means is that you're going to do less volume, but your intensity is going to stay the same. So doing less volume will make you less sore, less fatigued, but you don't want to cut out your training altogether because then you'll actually start to detrain. So when you see the darker orange color there, that means that your volume has gone from 100% to 70%. When you see it go to the yellow is more in your 40 to 55%. And when you hit green, that means it's time to perform. So just know that if you follow the program exactly, you should feel great going into camp. And if you don't, then that's my fault. And just more examples here. One of the biggest things that really come out of this season is in-season training. And I know many of you have schools that do this for you, or you go to see someone. Like I say in all my meetings with players, if you feel like the training that you're doing at school or with a personal trainer is getting you the results that you want, then I advocate that you stay with them. If you've come in and you've seen that you may be less strong or powerful than other athletes, or that your testing over the months hasn't gotten any better, I would tell you that you probably need to change it up, but that's a decision for you to make. So in-season training, it's very, very important that you continue your in-season training. There's no point in doing 4 months of hard work and then letting another 8 months it just waste away and you lose that performance gain. Science will tell you that 1 to 2 sessions a week will maintain your strength. The younger that you are and the less experienced you are, 2 sessions you may actually get better. So the biggest thing here is we're trying to maintain your strength and your power, and your ESDs or your ones are just to maintain your aerobic performance. On-ice performance usually is in the anaerobic stage. Mostly that's your short shifts, your high-intensity stuff. A lot of players miss out on the longer, slow things, the things that really help drive recovery and the ability to perform under fatigue. So that's where the strength and conditioning professional comes in and helps you with that. So you'll just see that this takes you all the way through right up until camp that's going to be in December. Past December camp and leads you right into Canada Winter Games. Same idea here. We're going to take a really long taper. Hopefully your club teams will allow you to do this, so that way we can peak. We're looking at the U16 program right now. If you're part of the U18 female program, your program will just be 1 week later. So they're very similar, but just 1 week difference. Brings you down to March. Once you finish your season, I really do advocate that you take 2 to 4 weeks of just time to yourself. Recover, don't touch any weights, don't go on the ice, go and have some fun, do some cross training, whatever it might be, and then kick off your training one more time, and that's when the next program will come out. So I just want to reiterate this, that it is a full commitment of BC Hockey and myself that you perform all year round. Next up, mobility and regeneration. This is the second piece of the program. When I've given out programs before, this usually came at the end, but I think it's very important that you get a chance to see that mobility and regeneration is just as important as everything else in the program. So why do we do mobility and regeneration? We do it to recover, we do it to gain more mobility, and we also gain greater strength and power numbers by having that extra range of motion. So you'll see running through the program, basically I've broken down each joint of the body and I've given you options in terms of mobility. So my biggest thing for hockey players is usually the hips are very tight and usually a little bit of the low back. So if you don't do anything, just choose the hip section and choose the low back section. Now that being said, if you realize that your ankles are kind of tight, your shoulders might be tight, please refer to those pages. And if you have a strength coach that says, oh, it's hard for you to squat because it looks like your ankles are tight, do the ankle section. And the way that this works is you have a little bit of mobility with this, pardon the pun. So you have the option. You can do 3 different ones here. So you can either do this one, or this one, and you can pair it with any of the 3 that are here, and then pair it with the last one. So you need to hit a red, a green, and then a blue. The premise is that the red one is to open up the tissue. The green one is then to gain greater range. And then the blue one is to put that range into test. So if you don't actually test that range, it won't lock itself in. So what I advocate is to find the one in the red and the blue and the green that work best for you and stick with that one until it no longer works, and then maybe try another one. So you'll see going through here, my little assistant's got some videos and some pictures on here, and there's videos for all these as well. So if you really want to see how they're done, you can definitely do that. So we'll fly through that. So next piece, and I think it's the strongest piece, it's the strength conditioning program. It's physically the weightlifting, it's everything that can add to your strength. And this is something where people sometimes feel a little bit lost. Once again, I'd advocate that you watch the videos on YouTube if you don't know what an exercise is. But the biggest thing that I've noticed working with younger athletes and from where I work with national teams down to a provincial level is that athletes don't track their program. You need to track your program the same way that you track your stats. You track your program to know if you've gotten better. If you're not getting better in an exercise, then that exercise isn't going to help you, because it's all about giving external load to yourself, your body then adapting to it, and then being able to withstand that, and we add additional load. So the big thing is you're going to see in a second is you're going to get a strength and conditioning sheet. You need to fill out that sheet. So whatever weight that you do, you need to write that down, and then you need to write down what you're going to do next time. And that's why this load progression is right here. So every session that, say you do a back squat, if you go in and do 100 pounds on back squat, that's great. That means the next time that you're going to add 3 to 5 kilos, which is 5 to 10 pounds. Okay. And then the next time, if you can complete that exercise efficiently, you can get all your sets and reps, you're going to try to go up another 3 to 5 kilos. Okay. And you'll see that if you do that every session, that you're going to add a lot of weight to your squat or your bench press or your chin ups or whatever it might be. Now, the second point to this is if you can't complete the exercise. So let's say you're supposed to do 5 sets of 7 and you're supposed to hit 100 kilos that day for 7 at your 5th set, and you only get 5. That means that you're going to stay at 100 kilos one more time for the next time you come in and back squat. Next time you come in and back squat, you actually get the 100 kilos. That's awesome. Now you go to 105 kilos. And what did we just learn? You just learned that you got stronger. That's your first identification that what we did in training worked, because you were now able to do what you weren't able to do last time. Now the big caveat here is if you can't do it 3 times in a row, so you go in back squat, you can't get 100, you can't get 100, you can't get 100, you message myself and I'm going to tell you how to be able to do it, how to fix it. Because what we're really trying to do is trying to get you to get to maximal workload until your body says, nope, can't do it anymore. That's what we call a plateau. And then we make adjustments to the program. Okay, so this is what your loading key is going to look like. And I know it looks very scary right now, but for the most part, you're only going to be using this section up here. And what this section details is basically these are your strength workouts. These are your power workouts. These are your hypertrophy workouts. Everything in the middle is you're only going to see when you taper for competition, so don't worry about it right now. Okay? So let's go to the explanation. And once again, don't be scared of this page. Okay, so you go into the gym and it says back squat and it says you're doing a BS1. And BS1 means beginner strength 1, okay? The top number is how many reps I want you to do. So in this situation, it's 7 reps. Okay, everybody knows what that is, okay? The number underneath is the percentage that you're going to do. So in your very first session that you walk into the gym, you're going to have to figure out what your work set is. And your work set is the maximum amount of weight you can do to complete those reps. So the first time you go in, you disregard all these percentages, and you just basically say, okay, Matt wants me to do 7 reps on back squat. What can I do? So you're going to take 5 or 6 sets, and you're going to find it. And the easiest number to find, let's say for right now, just to make it simple, is 100. Okay, so you can do 100 kilos, 100 pounds, whatever it might be. The next time you go in for your session, you're going to start here, and it's going to say you have to do 65% of 100, so that's 65. So you're going to do 7 reps at 65. That's kind of your warm-up. The next set you're going to do is 75. Then you're going to do 85. Then you're going to do 90. Then you're going to hit your 100. Okay, if you hit 100, that's awesome. So according to our last page, you're going to have to do 103 to 105 the next time. Okay, so now this number just became 103 or 105. So if it became 105, then this is going to be more like 67. This is going to be more like 77. This is going to be more like 88. This is more like, right, like 92 or whatever. And then you're going to hit your 105 here. Okay, so if you notice, your work set gets higher, but so do your other sets. So we're accumulating more volume and intensity every time. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. If you think of it as a pyramid, we're basically building your base out further and further to get a bigger peak. Okay, this is the same thing for everything. Okay, that also means that this is a set, this is a set, this is a set, this is a set. Now you'll look at some and it'll say 2. That means that you're going to do 2 sets at that percentage. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, these guys right here, and it'll tell you which one to do it in your tapers, is just basically less sets, right? So this guy right here matches up with this guy. So if you look, rather than doing the 5 sets, you're only going to do 3 sets. You're only going to do 4 sets here. Okay, and you're never going to hit your full weight, so you're actually going to get to rest a little bit. Okay. If you still have questions about this page afterwards, please contact me and we can talk about it on the phone or email or whatever it might be. Okay. So this just gets into a little more in depth, right? So this is what you'll see on your workout page. So once again, like I said in the calendar, week 2, session 1, okay? You're going to follow the order. So you're going to start at the top and you're going to work your way down. So this would be your first exercise. You can look this up on the YouTube page. This would be your second exercise. All of these are going to be on the YouTube page. This is what the exercise is called. This is the sets and reps we want you to do. This is your rest in between or whatever mobility I want you to do, okay? So it looks complicated, but it's not. So you come in, you do this guy, you finish it. Easy. You come in, you do this one. You do this one. These are paired together. So you would do this exercise with this one. Take your break with your mobility. Repeat it until you're done. And then you're going to move to number 4. Okay, simple. I feel like everybody's seen a program like that before. These colors and these notations right here bring you back to this page, right? So if you see BES1T1, then you'd come here. If it said BES1T2, then you'd be here. Okay. So this is where you would write what you did this time and what you're going to do next time. So in our example of our back squat, this is where you'd write 100. And if you got it, you'd write 105. And the beauty part of this program is that as soon as you put 105 here, the next time you see this exercise, you know exactly you're going to do 105. And then hopefully you're going to do 110. And when you look back at your sheet after 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to be able to see, okay, the first time I did a kettlebell swing, I did 100. And now after 4 weeks, I can now do 130. And you're going to go, that's a pretty huge improvement. So these are your warm-ups, okay? If you already have a warm-up that you like and you feel like it's doing great things for you, keep doing it, okay? I don't want to impose anything on anybody like that, okay? If you have a strength and conditioning professional that helps you with warm-ups, do it. All I ask is that it's full body warm-up, right? You're getting upper body, you're getting lower body, you're getting different planes, so you're moving from side to side, you're going forward and back, you're working your hips, whatever it might be. If you don't have access to this, then you're going to do this guy right here, okay? And all I'm going to say is that both of these warm-ups, I shot the entirety of them, and they're on YouTube. So you don't even need to know this, okay? This is if you don't have access to internet or whatever, but I will walk you through it on YouTube of how to do it. You can literally follow me while I do it, okay? So we're not going to spend too much time on there. These are your strength programs, okay? This is a little snapshot of what it is. So if you look at the top, and I know it's kind of small, but it's going to say week 1, session 1. Okay, so that's when you look on your schedule, it'll say on week 1, it'll say strength 1. That would be this one. If it said week 1, strength 2, that would be this one, so on and so forth. So it's easy to track it, okay? You've seen it on the last page. It's going to say what the exercise is, what your loading scheme is, what your break is, and then you should be recording your weights in here, okay? So this day is very similar to this day. This day is similar to this day. So we're running 2 different days, so it's easy to remember. So if you write 100 here and you go to 105, then it should be 105 here. If you go to 110, it should say 110, go 115, so on and so forth. Okay? So the greatest advantage to this is that if you fill this out and you keep this as a binder, which is what I do with my athletes, you can bring this to December camp or whatever it might be, and you can show it to me, and I can plot it all, I can put it on graphs, and we can really figure out where our weaknesses are, where our strengths are, and how to individualize this a little bit more. Because the biggest question I have is this program individualized to myself? And no, this program is not individualized to you. Everyone at this stage is at such a low training age, meaning you guys haven't trained for 10, 15 years, you don't need individual programming. What you need is you need to get the basics correct. You need to be able to squat, deadlift, bench press, do chin-ups. You need to be able to move laterally, right? So what we want to do is get all the basics out of the way. We want to get a nice solid base. And then as soon as things start to plateau, that's when we want to change stuff, okay? We want to basically lengthen out your career as much as we can. If we start doing all the crazy stuff right now, but we forget the basics, then you're not going to have a good base for the crazy stuff later. The last little thing I'm going to say is everybody wants to do the stuff that Sidney Crosby does on YouTube videos, but you need to understand that Sidney Crosby has been training for decades, right? So he's built himself up to that. He focused on the fundamentals. And I actually know his strength coach, and they focus on the fundamentals. Make sure that you focus on the fundamentals. The same way that you had to learn how to skate before you touched a puck, before you went around cones, before you started your edge work, before you started your power skating, all that stuff, it's the same thing for strength training, okay? So, and this guy right here I added just for fun. So this is just an easy way to do it. If you pick an exercise and you write what you started at, when you finish your program, write what you finished at, okay? Then you can see what the difference was. And then you can write little comments here that I can check up on, or you can email me this page, take a snapshot, text it to me, whatever you like. So the programs all look very similar. They just have different color codes, okay? So this is what you're going to see that goes all the way through the year, okay? And that was it. That'll take you through everything but 4 weeks of the year, right, when you're taking your recovery time. Speed, agility, quickness. This is what every parent, every player asks me. I want to get better at my first 3 steps. I want to be quicker out of the corner. I want to be able to get up the ice quicker, okay? The biggest key to that is to become strong first. And that's why you're going to notice in your schedule that you do strength work before you ever hit any of this speed, agility, quickness. The only way that I can describe this is your car can be the fastest car in the world, but if it has an empty gas tank, it doesn't matter. Think of your strength work as your gas tank. What you're trying to do is you're trying to grow the gas tank, get the gas tank as big as possible, fill it up, okay? So that way you can give out great efforts all the time, and then you can really use the horsepower of that car. If you just focus on speed and agility work, and you don't have that base, you don't have that gas tank, doesn't matter what you're doing, okay? So we're going to focus on change of direction. We're going to focus on acceleration. So this is just a little snapshot. So it's going to start on week 5, and we're now into progressively the 3rd phase, okay? And you're going to ask me before I go any further, what happens if I haven't started this already, Matt? What if I've been doing someone else's program and I haven't been able to do any of this? Contact me and we can figure out a way to implement some of this, because you won't be able to do all of it because it's all progression on itself, okay? But it works the same. So whatever phase you're in, if it tells you that you're in phase 1 and you're in week 8, these are the exercises you're going to do, okay? The speed agility stuff can be done just before you do your strength training. So you're already at the gym. Some of it you can do outside, and I try to make it so that you can do this stuff if you're at a cottage or whatever it might be. And it won't take you very long. So if you're on your linear day, these are the exercises. So you'll notice there's only 2 exercises to do. If you're on your lateral day, there's only 2 exercises to do. Once again, these are all in our YouTube channel, okay? If you don't have access to the YouTube channel for any reason, I made diagrams for you. So if you look back and it says, right, 2-foot box land, 2-foot box land, okay? It'll explain to you, or the ones that need diagrams, I made diagrams. Energy system development, the thing that nobody likes to do, but is the foundation of what you can do. And the greatest example that I can give you is when I go to Hockey Canada camps, and this is for the women's side, if you show up and you can't run a 10 on a beep test, you're given your ticket to go home immediately. That's how important Hockey Canada feels that energy system development is. The premise behind it is that if you cannot maintain a certain work capacity, you'll get hurt more often. You won't be able to keep up with play. If you travel somewhere, you won't recover from the travel as quickly, right? You need to be able to build that foundation. You need to be able to have everything that's underneath the iceberg that no one sees, but is so, so important to the peak that everyone will see, okay? So you're going to see that you're going to work on tempo work. I'll explain that in a second. So this is kind of like more of your aerobic stuff to help you with your beep tests. We're going to do high intensity intervals, which is help you with your shifts. And then we're going to talk about lactate work. So lactate, probably many of you know what this is, but it's basically that burning sensation you get in your legs. And essentially, there's a certain point when you exercise where your body can't deliver oxygen anymore to the muscles, and your body will then use lactic acid instead. Okay, it'll convert and use lactic acid and use that as an energy source, but it's a burning sensation. So what we want to do is delay that onset as far as we can, so that maybe if you get stuck out on a penalty kill for the whole 2 minutes, hopefully the lactic acid won't kick in until a minute 30 rather than kicking in after 50 seconds, right? That's a rough estimate of what we're talking about. Okay, this works the same way, guys and girls, okay? So when you're looking at your phase and your week on your calendar, it's going to be right here. It's going to tell you, and it's going to tell you which ones you're going to do. So if it says on week 4 to do an ESD3, this is your workout right here. Okay. So the first part is telling you what modality you can use. So whether you're biking, running, rowing, okay, ideally you're running, because any biking that you do is going to add to your hip flexor strains or the tightness you have in your hips. Running will help alleviate that, okay? The next one is telling you how many sets you're going to do and how long you're going to be doing them for. The part underneath here is your rest in between your sets, okay? And the bottom is your heart rate, okay? I really do advocate that you all have heart rate monitors, okay? They're $100 online. You hook them up to an app, your iPhone, you hook them up to a watch, whatever it might be. It's the best investment that you can make towards your performance, okay? Because this is where it individualizes it. This is where you can have individual programming. When you go to training camp with us and we do testing and I give you your heart rate max back on your testing sheet, this is what it means. So if you have 200 as your heart rate max and it tells you to work at a heart rate of 80%, that means when you go out and run, I need you to be working at 160 beats per minute. Okay? If you're working at 70%, then you're working at 140, right? If you have a less of a heart rate or more of a heart rate than somebody else, which is all individual, it's going to change this. Okay? So this is what it looks like right here. Okay? If you do not have a heart rate monitor, then you're in this guy right here. So then you're going to talk about what zone you're in. Okay? So what zones are right here, what we're working on, what energy system. If you don't have a heart rate monitor, then you're going to have to use what we call an RP system. And that means these guys right here. Okay, so if I'm telling you to work at 70%, then it should feel like it's kind of a 2 or 3 out of 10. It should be manageable. You should be able to do it for a while. If we're working at a max heart rate, then you should be telling me that it's an 8, 9, or a 10. Like, I can't do this for very long. And that's fine because that's what your body's meant to do. Had a little freeze there. Okay, so that pretty much takes us to the end of our program. That's the nuts and bolts of it, okay? I really hope that you guys do this program because I put a lot of effort into it, and this is the same way that we train national rowing, national rugby, you name it. These are the kind of things that professional athletes do. This is how you can get an edge on your competition, whether it be Ontario, Alberta, whatever it might be, okay? I'm really hoping that I put out this video and that people are going to respond well to it, that people are going to watch it, and that I'm going to get more questions and hopefully answer some of those questions and get you guys on a path that we can take home gold at Canada Winter Games, and that this can continue from year to year, that BC becomes a powerhouse in hockey. Okay, thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.